Welcome back to Asinine Radio, a weekly podcast where we talk about music, and, well, that's pretty much it. So, let's go!
So annoying. All right. This is Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast where every week we get into a different band, different artist, and we break down one of their records. We get into the music, the lyrics, how it was made, artwork, the band members, and everything in between. My name is Tyler. Way out there, hundreds of miles away, is Jeff. While you're listening, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, stop yawning. Give us 5 stars only. All the social media is at Asinine Radio. Tell all your friends because this is the greatest podcast you'll ever hear in your entire life. And let's jump right into it. What are we doing today, Jeff?
We're doing Death by Stereos and their album If Looks Could Kill, I'd Watch You Die.
That we are. This is their first record from 1999. We're in the middle of Orange County season right now. We're doing Orange County bands. Last week we did Offspring. This week, obviously, Death by Stereo. Next week, it's going to be a surprise, but it's a heavy hitter from Orange County.
And that's how we're going to wrap up the season. Before that, which is Long Beach is essentially Orange County.
Yeah, almost.
Long Beach is Long Beach is a city that's in LA County, but it wishes it was in Orange County.
Yes, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. And they even have a song about Garden Grove. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Orange County season's going strong right now. And we decided to go with something a little bit more obscure, something that, to me at least, means a lot to me. A ton of nostalgia. Grew up on this band. My high school years were filled with this band. You got into this band, I think, well, maybe at the same time, but you were never really super into them, but you always enjoyed them. And Death by Stereo. So with this band, what's your origin story with Death by Stereo? Go.
I will say too, we did Avenged. I mean, we split it up with the Wedding Singer, but we did Avenged, Orange County, Sublime, as we just talked about. We've been doing Orange County season for a minute.
We have.
The Wedding Singer we peppered in there. That's fine, not a big deal. But yeah, we've been in Orange County season for a while.
We needed a break, so
yeah, that's okay. But anyway, my true introduction to this band was Punk-O-Rama, the quintessential Punk-O-Rama that we both love, 2001. That
Punk-O-Rama 6.
That was pivotal in my musical journey as a child. And this was a later track on that album. I think this was probably like in the third quarter ish.
I think it was like track 12 or 13 on that comp.
Yeah, so it was a deeper cut. This was probably the most aggressive song on that comp.
Raised Fist.
Raised
Fist was the most aggressive, for sure. This is okay. But I would say this is a runner-up. This is a runner-up. Yeah.
So that was my true introduction to this band was that song. I had not listened to that band otherwise after that until like high school when you listened to them a lot, and then for whatever reason, Death for Life, when that came out. Maybe at that point we were just really ingrained in going to shows at the time in Orange County, and so when that new album dropped, because that was right around us graduating high school, but that's the only Death by Stereo album I've
Yeah, that was like right around that time.
Yeah. That's the only, besides now their first and last record on the vinyls, that was the only Death by Stereo album I've ever owned on in any physical format. I had that CD of that one, which I can only assume that I got it from you, probably at Tower Records.
Yeah, I was going to say, where else would I buy it? Yeah.
But yeah, so holding $60 on a burning bridge, that's my introduction, but like my true kind of like deeper dive into it is Death for Life. Death for Life. Death for Life.
Both just did that. So yeah, my origin story also was $60 on a burning bridge. Holding whatever the fuck the name of that song is. My favorite Death by Stereo song. That was my introduction from the Punk-O-Rama comp. I remember, I got that comp at Best Buy, and I was obsessed with it. And I actually went to Hawaii that summer with my family, and my cousin was there. My cousin's a couple years older. He introduced me to a lot of good music. when I was younger. And I said, "Oh, Brandon, have you ever heard of Death by Stereo? This song's so good." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, they're awesome. This is their first record. This is If Looks Could Kill." And he had a copy of that CD, and I put it on my CD player, and first of all, I was already blown away by $60. But when I heard If Looks Could Kill, I guess this goes into my first impressions on If Looks Could Kill. But when I heard that, it was one of those moments, which I've talked about on the podcast before, one of those moments where I had never heard anything like it in my life. Yeah, I had heard Death by Stereo because of the one song, but hearing If Looks Could Kill, nothing sounded like it. Even to this day, nothing sounds like that album. Vocally, musically, it's such a standalone, off the wall, amazing record. I don't know, that's my origin story with both the band and the record. It's something else. If Looks Could Kill is really, really something else. And I think you would agree with me on that.
It is. It's Orange County hardcore is its own kind of like sub genre of music in respect to like hardcore music in general. But If Looks Could Kill is something different. Nothing else sounds like this. Even anybody that was doing hardcore, either punk or getting into the metalcore scene or trying to incorporate punk and metal, this album blew me away this week. This album blew me away because I realized how much of an influence Iron Maiden and Steve Harris was on the bass playing.
Yeah,
and
Paul.
I'm definitely still a new Iron Maiden man now, but god damn, dude, there's so much Steve Harris on this album. So much. And there's a song here that is just straight fucking, I don't want to say it's a ripoff. I think he just actually incorporated a Steve Harris bass line because that was one of his like idols. I tried to like Google it. I didn't see if that was his idol. Clearly it was though. But yeah, he straight up like rips off Steve Harris, one of his bass lines, and it's here. And I love it.
Well, I mean, so Iron Maiden is one of those bands, like clearly you could hear it, within like in the band's music. But Dan Palmer, who didn't play on this record, he joined the band right after this record came out. But Dan Palmer actually was in an Iron Maiden cover band, like up until maybe like 3 years ago. He was in a Slayer cover band, a Misfits cover band, and an Iron Maiden cover band, and you can hear all three of those bands within this group, this band itself. So it's so obvious what their inspirations were, but it never sounds like they're ripping them off. You know what I mean? Like everything just sounds so unique and so.
It's very Sublime-esque. It's very wearing your inspirations on your sleeve.
Yes.
I don't think it's ripping them off in the same way that Sublime. I don't think they rip anybody off. They're just very excited to play the music that they loved listening to growing up and like making it their own.
Yes,
I dig it.
Yes, I agree with you on that. And kind of throwing them up, like you kind of mentioned, or we were saying, nobody sounds like Death by Stereo. And then when you throw them up against like the other heavy hitters from the Orange County scene, the Orange County hardcore scene, they don't sound like Atreyu. They don't sound like Avenged. Fucking Bleeding Through, 18 Visions, Throwdown.
Nothing.
Dude, nobody, I mean, especially, it's not even just Ephraim's voice, which is so different in itself, but even musically, Avenged kind of had that feel, but not to this extent. Like if you listen to the first two Avenged records, they weren't nearly as experimental as the first two Death by Stereo records were. Like, not at all. Those were just straight up more metalcore records. But Death by Stereo were infusing so many different genres into Looks Could Kill and Day of the Death, and it shows. And then obviously Atreyu were taking a lot from the glam metal and 80s stuff, but I don't know, man. Death by Stereo, and there's something special here. And
it's because they really do keep the hardcore punk aesthetic. Like, they're punkers through and through. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But they are incorporating a lot of metal to where, to a less talented band, that would just like transition to just be like thrash. That's going to be thrash now because we can't do anything really that well. So let's just kind of like piggyback on Suicidal and just play thrash music, and that's what we sound like now, I guess. Whatever. But like Death by Stereo does it in a way where you can clearly hear the hardcore punk sound. You can clearly hear the metal, and you can hear it when they want you to hear it. It's not muddled.
Mm-hmm.
It's not thrown in there because they don't know how to transition between the two genres. You hear it when they want you to hear it, and that's craftsmanship. That's crafting a good song.
It is. It's crafting a good song, and the genre hopping within just 3.5 minute song is remarkable. I the only other band I could compare Death by Stereo to in terms of like genre hopping and doing so many kind of weird off the wall quirky things would be System of a Down, who absolutely nailed that genre hopping, the mixing of the different things so well to make one cohesive song. Death by Stereo were doing this on If Looks Could Kill. It's just they weren't throwing in the oddball polka stuff or the folky stuff. Like Death by Stereo were really keeping it within the rock realm, but they were still doing, the idea was the same.
Yes.
The genre hopping, the kind of like, I guess, I don't want to say off the wall time signatures, but tempo changes. I guess that's the better way to say it. The tempo changes, the genre hopping, it's all over the place. It's chaos. This record is fucking chaos.
It's chaos, for sure.
But in all the best ways. Like, you never get bored when you're thinking, oh, okay, this is just going to be kind of like maybe like a ballady thing. There's going to be a lot of very melodic. Then out of fucking nowhere, Jared Alexander will just do this crazy fucking drum fill, and it'll drop into like some thrashy thing or super like Pantera kind of thing. It's an absolutely insane record. For sure, an insane record.
Yeah,
But-
I agree. This I have this on the vinyls, and I spin it not as often as I should, but after this week, I'm going to put it on heavier rotation because after getting into the nuance of this, it's impressive. It really is
There's
impressive.
so much going on.
On the surface, this is just a throwaway Orange County hardcore band with not much substance there. But if you really do kind of like listen, pick it apart, take a little deeper dive, it's a masterpiece. It's a fucking masterpiece.
It really is.
It's unreal. It's like it's amazing. These guys took
Dude,
nothing and made like what do they call it? Like mounds out of molehills or mountains out of molehills or whatever it's called. They took a
whatever
genre
they're saying, yeah.
that's like a throwaway genre, right? The Orange County like hardcore punk scene, even like hardcore punk in general. Like who really gives a fuck? How great could you possibly make that scene? The metalcore scene that's always like scoffed at, but these guys took all of it and made it better, but nobody knows it.
That's correct. And I think it's because they are so unconventional. I feel like it's because they don't sound they don't sound generic, and I feel like that's why they never took off the way they should have, because they're not generic enough, which is crazy when you think about it. You know, you look at a band like Foo Fighters, one of the most generic rock bands of all time, or one of the biggest rock bands of all time. U2 is another example of that. And it's not fair. It's not fair. These guys have the chops. They have the talent. They have the energy, the passion, and it's so unfortunate that they got popular obviously within the scene. They're iconic within the scene, but it's a shame they never broke out like other bands did. But they also never chose to sell out the way bands like AFI did, which I love AFI after they sold out. I mean, I truly love AFI, every one of their records, but Death by Stereo never sold out. But I don't know. It's just, it's special. It's a special one.
It's a shame that most people probably don't know Death by Stereo, especially if you're not from Southern California, the Southwest United States. You probably never heard of this band.
They're pretty regional, and it sucks. It really sucks. They deserve
the
more.
Best of the best. They really are.
Yeah, I think they're actually in the UK. I think they have a pretty big scene, a decent sized scene in the UK as well. I think they're one of those bands that, oddly enough, are popular over there, more popular than you would think.
Well, our boy will let us know.
Yeah, our boy Skip. I think he's heard of Death by Stereo. I don't know if he's a fan, but
he's a
Skip
fan.
Skip likes quieter stuff. You know, he likes his David Bowie's, his who else does he like? He likes his New Order. He likes his Joy Division. He gets a little bit heavier with his At the Drive-In, but
he's gonna be so mad at this because you're just like pigeonholing him into like this soft rock guy or something. He's gonna be mad.
I mean, he's also a guy who thinks that the original version of Blue Monday is better than the Orgy version, just because it's not as heavy.
Oh, there we go.
So
There we
Just
go.
saying it, dude. Just calling him as I sees him.
Okay.
But
Those are words. Okay.
let's get into the album a little bit more. Do you have any stinkers on this record?
I don't.
I don't either. How
I don't
many
have any
bangers
stinkers
do
in
you
their
have?
entire discography. I have no stinkers.
That's correct. I do not have any stinkers either. And
But as I
all 7 of the
said,
records.
as I started with the Offspring album, I'm trying to be a little bit more beer goggly, or no, a little bit less beer goggly, and a little bit more objective with these. So I do have a lot of okay songs.
Okay, that's stupid. but
Okay. Because we've been passing out these far too often. These 3 out of 3s, we've been doing it far too often.
Well, when we're doing so many great albums, why do you you're the one, you're giving yourself limitations here for no reason. If it's fucking perfect, it's perfect. What are you gonna do? You don't. I mean, I don't make the rules.
But if not,
This shit
if
just
not
happens.
every song is perfect, then it can't
But
be a
every
perfect
song
album,
is
can
perfect.
it? Every song on this album is
It
not
can.
perfect.
But even I would even argue that even if one song isn't perfect, if the other songs are so good and so perfect, so beyond perfect, then the album could still be perfect. It's just the way she goes. It's the way she goes.
There's okay. That's an opinion.
Those are words, dude.
Those are words,
so,
dude.
So I have 14 bangers on, or 13 bangers, because I just put the intro bundled with the first song.
The sing along song.
So yeah, sing along for the Patriot Punks.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into your number one banger, your 1B. What do you got?
That's it. Sing along with the Patriot Punks. That's my 1B.
Okay, that's my 2B.
This
So,
is
let's
an
jump into it.
incredible opener. I think the intro's great. It's just enough of that scene, right? Using like
Yeah,
spoken word
using
movie
the
clips or
samples.
whatever it is. It's just enough. It's not too long. It's fine. But it gets into the sing along part, and this is unreal. And Steve Harris's influence on Paul Miner,
Yeah, Paul Miner.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Miner's
is
bass.
abundantly clear. Paul's bass line here is Revelations. It's fucking lifted. It's ripped off. It's lifted. It's exactly the same. It's just a tiny, a smidge different and a little bit not as good, not as great, but it is Revelations bass line 100%. And I like that because this is the first track, right? So the first track on their first album,
Great opener.
what everybody's going to know this band by, his bass line is lifted. And I like that. That shows me that he's not afraid to tell people, yes, this is my influence. This is somebody I admire, right? If this was like buried deep into this album, like track 7, 8, 10, you might think like maybe he's trying to hide it. Maybe he's trying to like get one by me. But this is the first track. This is
I
the
know.
opener. You're opening the album with like a bass line that's not yours. Like clearly, but he's fucking telling us who his inspirations are. And I like that. I fucking love that. I admire that. That's awesome. And Efren's like spoken word patriotic part. Dude, that shit's funny.
Yeah, it's so
It's
good.
funny. It's
It's really
stupid.
good.
It's fun. It's goofy. It's very much of the scene also. And the song just ends in absolute chaos. And I love that.
Oh my god, I love it too. And so let's touch upon the intro real quick because it's important to the band. It's a clip from the movie The Lost Boys, and they actually got the name of the band from this movie, and it's Death by Stereo, and literally that's the end of the intro is Death by Stereo, and then go and da-da-da-da. It's just like that go, and then it's just fucking chaos. It's fast, it's thrashy, and then that Jared's like drum roll into that first verse, which sometimes it's hard to like say which is a verse and which is a chorus because just there's so many different changes in these songs that when I say verse I say that very loosely.
Yeah.
Or when I say chorus I say that very loosely. But yeah, so he just that drum roll into the verse, and then Ephraim starts screaming, "You can't take my work. You can't take my place." It's just like it's frantic. He's screaming. It's just you're scared a little bit because you've never heard anything like this. And then I love the two lines. "I think you're a fool. I think you've got bad taste." And then dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. It's just the interplay between Jim Miner, the guitarist, and Jared, and dude, everybody is so linked up, and it's just they're just so tight. The band they're so tight, but they also sound like it's about to fall apart at any moment because of how chaotic it is. And going back to that spoken word part too, the government feeds your meathead mentality. Go to work. It's just, that is very System of a Down too. Like throwing it back to that, like the kind of weird genre hopping that they do. It's just, I do hear a lot of System of a Down on this record specifically, and not saying that they're ever trying to rip off System, because I don't believe that at all. I just I feel like that's a fair comparison. And then wrapping it up, like you said too, with the end, the spit right in your face. Like, it's just the snotty way of him screaming that too. Spit, and then he just, the last line, spit right in your fucking face. And then just that last little drum, those last little drum hits at the end.
Yeah.
Perfection. Love it.
Even comparing them to System is not crazy, right? Because System had not been around for like 10 years prior to this album. I know this album came out in 99. Like, I understand that, but I still can't. It's still weird to me when I see that and I read that. I'm like, damn, 1999 this came out. Because this is a band for me that I got into them in high school. So for me, this band started in like 2004. And so to think that this album came out in 1999, just it's fucking crazy.
Even though we started high school in 2001.
But like, I didn't get into them until like 2005.
Yeah,
guess,
okay, true. That's fair.
So
but then
like,
also thinking too,
just,
the first System record came out in 98, right?
Yeah, a year prior
Self-titled?
to this.
Only a year, yeah.
And then Toxicity was 2001.
God, that's crazy, man.
So like, if these guys are borrowing
wild.
from System, they're not borrowing that much because this System had not been doing this quirky thing that long.
True, yeah.
And even when these guys
Man.
heard System drop that album, they were already in the studio. They're already like writing songs at this point. They're already like percolating on songs at least. So it's not. They're not taking a lot from System. They're borrowing maybe a little bit, or at least they were already doing what System was doing. They just didn't get it out in time. Because I do hear a lot of that quirky like System here. It's just not as egregious as System did.
Yeah, it's not as weird. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say something else, but we'll move on. And what I also really like about Death by Stereo, even up until this day, they keep everything in house for the most part. You know, with this record, the band produced it. They literally did everything. I mean, they didn't mix and master, but I mean, they wrote the record. They produced. They did it all really. And then every subsequent record, Paul Miner has pretty much produced every one of the records. I mean, Jason Freeze produced Death Is My Only Friend, and I don't know if Paul Miner did. I don't think Paul Miner did Death for Life, but he's pretty much done everything with the band. He's come back and played bass with them live. He's come back and played bass on the records, even when he's like not touring with them and not like a full-time member. Paul Miner's always kind of been there in the background, helping the band, helping the guys out, and I think that's super fucking rad.
Yeah.
And that's really, and it seems like everybody who's been, because they've had a lot of band members over the years, but it seems like everybody still likes each other. Like, it never really seems like there's ever been bad blood between any ex-members. And I've seen, like, because I've been following this band since 2001 when I really got into them, and following them on social media over the years, over the last, over 12, 13 years now, it's just like, they'll like post a picture like, oh, I'm here with Todd Henning, the guy who played drums on Death for Life. It's just like, they're still buddies. They still hang out when they see each other. And it's just like, it's so fucking rad, man. Even like Jim Miner, he quit the band after Day of the Death, but then he came back and played some shows in 2006, I believe it was, at Chain Reaction. I went to those shows, and it was so cool seeing Jim Miner come back out on stage and just kind of play a lot of the songs from If Looks Could Kill. Because, I mean, I've seen Death by Stereo. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen this fucking band play. It's just at least 20, maybe 30 times I've seen this band play over the years. Because they're just always... Times. It's a lot of times, but it's just they're just such a local... They're local legends, really, within the scene. So it's like...
And the shows are always cheap. Like, they're never...
Yeah.
It's never like a $35, $45 show. It's always 20 tops.
And they're always a blast. They're always so much fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Great band. I was going somewhere with that, but I forgot now. I just got excited. But
no, there's a lot of cool things that I did not know about this band until this week. Like the Gerard Way thing connection. That was fun and interesting. And also, I didn't know that they played a show in like 2003, and people died.
Mm-hmm.
That's
or one
nuts
person
to me.
died. Yeah.
One person died.
Yeah.
So like I tried to get into what happened, and they played a show. It was in Virginia, and they had already been touring, and this was like they had a couple days off. Like, yeah, we should fucking play a pop-up show. Let's do it real quick. And they played this venue, and the venue was so packed, and it was like a second floor thing, and it wasn't like anybody's fault really, except for the building design. But I guess what had happened was there's so many people in there, and the crowd had like shifted, and so there were so many people pushed up against the wall that the window just kind of like busted open, like it broke, and a bunch of people fell off the second story like straight into concrete, and somebody died, and multiple people got like severely hurt. But they almost like they were done. As a band, they ran to their vans and they hid in their vans and turned the lights off because they were terrified, and the media was there, and they had made a decision then to like call it quits. Like, we're done. This is we can't do this anymore. They were getting sued by everybody, but then they went back into the studio because they wanted to persevere and move forward, and that's when Death for Life came out, right? Because that was after the whole thing, and that was a new album that came out, and so kind of I don't know, Death for Life. After reading that, kind of puts it a little bit higher for me too, because like these guys almost called it quits, and if they called it quits, we would not have gotten Death for Life, and so it makes it a little bit more magical, stemming from a horrible situation. But these guys had no money.
After that happened too, they played a benefit show at Chain Reaction here in Orange County, iconic venue. We talk about it all the time. They played a show there, a benefit there, and then they released a live recording of that show for free. Just like kind of in honor of the person who died, and like for the people who got injured pretty bad. So I mean, it's just like, God, it's just I don't know.
It's funny because like that's what you should do as a band, as a person, but they're getting sued for like $30 million. So they raise what?
But it's not even their fault.
$5,000 for the it's a good gesture. That's what you should be doing. Yeah. That's all you can do. You have insurance for this exact reason, but that just kind of shows you how broken our society is. They're getting sued for $30 million, and they're barely scraping by just to make ends meet. They're all working other jobs and stuff while touring as well.
Do we have anything else on Sing Along?
No, that's it. Let's do your 1B. What's your 1B?
No cuts, no butts, no cocoa nuts.
No cuts, no butts, no cocoa nuts. That is my 2B, baby.
I mean, just the opening where everyone, it just that build up, that drum build up with Jared, and then everybody yells "Death by Stereo." It just, and then just the verse hits with just the Jared's playing the ride and the snare just da 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 da, and then everybody wants a piece of the pie, but you can't take a bite out of me. It's fucking chaos. I love singing that line too, obviously. Some real cool guitar tricks. Like Jim Miner, he's a really good guitar player, like really, really solid, but he's not like a Dan Palmer where Palmer will have these like crazy leads, solos and everything. Jim Miner, I feel like his playing is more like, let's do some tricks. Let's do some like cool harmonics, cool like pinch harmonics. Let's make some like wonky sounds. And that's what you hear a lot on this song. You hear a lot of just like feedback and just weird noises. And dude, this song is fucking, it's chaos. I mean, it's a more scream led kind of song, if that makes sense. Like just way more screaming. Also that breakdown, the breakdown outro kind of thing, where the guitars are just kind of like, just the strumming, the ringing out of the guitars, and then the woes. Oh, the woes, man. It's just, this song is, I think it's like 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Like it's short, but man, it's effective. And who doesn't like to say the title too? No cuts, no butts, no cocoa nuts.
Yeah, no cuts, no butts, no cocoa nuts. Come on,
cocoa nuts.
It's fantastic. So like, there's a couple things here that I noticed. There's a lot of like cool, overly distorted chicka chicka parts on the guitar. Yeah. Right, like a pop punk chicka chicka. You got to do that in music because those are fun. But because they're a hardcore punk band, they can't do the pop punk chicka chickas. So what do? You just like be overly aggressive in your distortion, but you're still chicka chicking. And I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't
love
care.
it.
But there's also these little post-hardcore sounding lead parts, very at the drive-in sounding, and that's what they are. I don't
exactly,
know. That's what they are. And then Jared Alexander, dude, the guy slays. He's so fun. He's these cool.
He's incredible on this record.
Like his drum beat in that bridge part. It's fancy enough to be unique to the scene, but it also works with like the song by slowing it down, eventually speeding it right back up. So he's doing a lot of like busy work, but the busy work is meaningful, and it goes somewhere. I like.
You're right. And also, you know, when with that build up, when Ephraim's singing, "I am who will help myself," and then the whoa, and just that build up, and I just think that it's like I can't even explain it. It just gets you so pumped, and then that one last I am who will help myself, and then just that last boom, that one last hit on the snare and floor tom by Jared is just like it's so unsatisfying but satisfying at the same time. Like it should have gone into something even crazier and wilder, like a guitar solo, but no, the song just fucking ends so abruptly, and it just I fucking love it. I just love how unconventional this song is, and this record in general.
Yeah, no,
I don't know,
there's a little part in the very end where it's just like a straight up little speed metal part. They do it for like 10 seconds, but they don't do it long enough, and it's just I don't know. Again, this is the influence that we have as musicians, but we're not going to completely rip it off, but we're going to show you where we came from, and I like that.
I love it.
Dig.
Love it, man. No cuts, no butts, no cocoa nuts.
No cocoa nuts
From from the Death by Stereos. What do you got for your number 2?
That was my number 2.
Oh, that's right, it was. Then
Yeah.
what's your number 3?
Now we're going to drop down to the middle of the album here. Looking Out for number 1. That's my number 3.
All right, Looking Out for is my number 4. So let's jump into that. What do you got on this one?
Another great, straightforward, like hardcore punk song. Oh,
and wait, real quick too. We haven't even talked about the lyrics.
Oh yeah,
because
the lyrics are pretty good.
I like them a lot. I really do. And
the lyrics were good because they conveyed a message in a way that was understandable. It was clear, but it was also like you could tell
a little bit ambiguous.
To Ephraim.
But there were also a lot of parts too where I felt like he was being ambiguous, and it's like you could take several different meanings from some of the songs, and I was actually, because we're not lyric men here on the pod, and we're slowly trying to get into lyrics more and all of that, and I was pleasantly surprised this week, and thinking about this entire scene, some of my favorite lyrics that we've done on the podcast or talked about on the podcast have been from bands in this scene, for me at least. You know, Atreyu, Alex's lyrics on that first Atreyu record, I love his lyrics.
Thrice.
But my favorite lyrics, Thrice, from Artists in the Ambulance.
And there's a band. So like we talked about, like not a lot of bands sound like Death by Stereo. Dude, Identity Crisis fucking sounds a lot like some of these songs, which makes sense. But like, god damn, I could not believe how much Identity Crisis I heard in this album.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, Paul Miner, people who don't know, Paul Miner, the bass player from Death by Stereo, also a well-known producer in the scene, produced that first Thrice record, Identity Crisis. And I remember Riley, the drummer from Thrice, saying in an interview that they were such huge fans of Death by Stereo. Like they were like one of the band's favorite bands. And he was talking about how excited they were to work with Paul Miner, that they almost kind of wanted to make a Death by Stereo record because at that time, Identity, the only album that had been out at that point was If Looks Could Kill. You know, Day of the Death hadn't even been out yet when they had written and recorded, or when they recorded Identity Crisis. So, I mean, you hear it just in the drum tone, the guitar playing, some of the wild structures, like song structures you hear on Identity Crisis, are kind of similar to the songs on this record. A little bit more refined, I guess you could say, but. Man, dude, there's a ton of Death by Stereo on that first Thrice record. But lyrically, going back to the lyrics on Thrice's Artists in the Ambulance record to me, I mean, only being into lyrics for so long, that those are some of my favorite lyrics I've ever kind of digested ever. Like, I love the lyrics on The Artist in the Ambulance, and even on Identity Crisis. I mean, Dustin was like 19, 20 years old when he wrote those songs, and there's some amazing lyrics, some amazing songs there on Identity Crisis. And
I agree.
But yeah, Ephraim, great lyricist. I just flat out, I'm going to say it. I enjoy the subject material. I enjoy the subjects he talks about, and I like the words he uses. I like the way he talks about these things. He doesn't. They're not throwaway lyrics. Let's just say that. I feel like everything he says is very strategic and thought out, and I really do like his lyrics on this record. But
I think like with lyricists, you have like filler, you have like a good lyricist, you have like a great lyricist, then you have like a fucking legendary lyricist. Like Bob Dylan for me, obviously, and for most people except for you, he's a legendary lyricist. I do think Ephraim is bordering like good to great, because there's nothing like too perplexing or complex here, but like he knows, again, like going back a little bit, he knows his target audience. He knows the point he wants to get across. He gets it across, but it's a little bit deeper than that. And it's tough because, especially in this scene, the punk scene, like it's so easy just to like write about how much you hate the government and how much you fucking hate the police. And like, that's just cop out after cop out. But there's some endearing stuff here. There's some stuff here that's very personal to him. And I like that.
And I also like
it's
that
vulnerable.
I also enjoy that he doesn't go as far as like get as kind of crazy and get as crazy as like Davey Havok from AFI or Cedric from At the Drive-In. Because I mean, especially Cedric, I mean, his lyrics are so off the wall. Like
dumb.
You don't even know what he's talking about most of the time.
They're dumb.
And even with Davey, like Davey's lyrics are very, very emotional, obviously, but there's a lot of metaphors, a lot of ambiguity with his lyrics, and I like that Ephraim is like, he's in the middle of that, and I think that's what I like about it so much. Like you could still kind of understand what he's trying to convey, but he does it in a more eloquent way. So
this is going to sound like a diss, but it's totally not, because we talked about it extensively. But Ephraim's lyrics remind me of what Good Charlotte was trying to do. Like Good Charlotte tried really, really hard to write good songs, but they just weren't. It seems like Ephraim is he's really trying hard to write good lyrics, but they are. So I like,
yeah.
But you can tell the effort, right? You could tell the effort in Good Charlotte. Come on. You could tell these guys were trying really, really hard. It just sucks because they also kind of suck. But like Ephraim, you could tell he's trying really hard to write good lyrics, and they're good lyrics.
Yeah. They are. They are really good. But anyway, 0-2. Let's get into what were we talking about? Yeah, we're talking about Good Charlotte.
My 3B. I think look it up for number 1.
Yeah, looking out for number 1. Okay, so what do you
got? It was just a great, straightforward hardcore punk song. They do the bouncing really well, right? Where they kind of like get into that rolling like chorus or whatever part it is, and they use the gang vocals really well. And this song is great. There's a bridge part that slows it all down before they break out again into like absolute craziness. And I like anybody that uses like the double snare hit in a chorus, that doom ta doom ta ta da da da. Like I like that. It's just cute. It's fun. It's something simple. Kind of churches it up a little bit. It's not too fancy, but to my B team ears, I'm giving myself B team status. My B team ears, it sounds fun. I like it.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. This is just a really good hardcore song, but it's more than that too. It's more complicated. It's more intricate. Jared, obviously, I mean, to me, Jared is the MVP on this record, and that's not a slight to any of the other guys because everybody is so good on this. And I'm probably going to talk about Jim the least amount, and honestly, it's no diss to Jim because he is incredible. Everybody brings their A game on this album. But Jared is truly, truly something special. And not just his playing, but I love the drum tone. I love that. I love his snare tone. The ride cymbal is just so goddamn fucking crisp. it's so raw. It's so garage bandy sound. I just love. There's a nice ring to that snare hit, and it's like it's
like
not
a nice
like
hollow sound, but it's not.
Yeah, and it's not like Saint Anger. Like some people might say they would compare it to Saint Anger, Metallica's Saint Anger snare drum, which is just on another level horrendous. But yeah, I love the drum tone on this one, and it just cuts through the mix. So nice, and just once again the fills, the transitions into the other parts, going into that breakdown on here, like you mentioned. No, I don't know. It's just it's fucking great.
I agree with everything you said. It's hard for me to not put. I don't know, dude. Jared slays. He really does, and he's so fun. But damn, dude, Paul Miner. Like I could not get over the fact that this guy, he's like the Bradley Knoll of hardcore punk here. And he's telling you who his influences are and what he's doing, and he's not afraid to like rip people off, but it's like clear as fucking day that he's ripping somebody off. So it's not ripping somebody off. I had good times with the bass.
Like I would put. I hate ranking them. I mean, we actually don't even
rank
really
them,
do
baby.
this
We love
on the podcast, but it's just like Jared is my MVP. Ephraim's a close runner up. Then Paul and then Jim. But once again, no disrespect to any of them. Paul does rip it up. Like there are also moments on this record that not only remind me of Steve Harris, but also remind me of like, early AFI, like Answer That and Stay Fashionable, like what Jeff Kresge was doing on that record. Some amazing bass playing, even like what Hunter was doing on some of the later or like the mid section AFI records. There's some really good squirrely stuff going on here that it's not really Steve Harris, but more punk stuff. And or like what's his name from Rancid? What's the I can't remember the bass player's name.
I can't remember his name either.
Oh my god, Matt Freeman. Matt Freeman. Yeah. Hear a lot of Matt Freeman on this one too, which makes sense. I mean,
Scale Master.
Rancid is just. I mean, Operation Ivy, Rancid, iconic bands. Who in the punk scene doesn't take inspiration from Rancid or Op Ivy? So I mean the Matt Freeman stuff here too is prominent. I don't know. I think this band at this time, this record is. I think they were untouchable. I truly think they were untouchable. Oh, and another thing, real quick too. I'm just excited. I'm just excited to be here.
I'm excited. You're excited. Let's do it.
So something I didn't know until a few years ago, but I don't remember. I think it was probably Ephraim. I mean, he's been the only constant member in the band. But he posted a flyer of Death by Stereo's very first show ever in 1997, and it was at Esperanza High School, the high school that you and I went to, and we graduated from.
That was their first show ever?
Their first show ever was at Esperanza High School. I don't know if it was at lunch or if it was at like what became Creative Impulse or like Battle of the Bands. I don't remember, but I do know their first show ever was in 97 at our high school. Well, I think a couple of the guys went to Esperanza too, to our high school before we were there. Because we were there in 01 to 05, and obviously they were there in the mid to late 90s. But yeah, so I thought that's a fun little fact too. Like really hyper regional for us.
I know, that's so specific.
I mean, because I know that the guys from Atreyu, or most of the guys from Atreyu, went to our high school as well. So I mean, there's also a huge connection with that band. I think even some of the guys from Bleeding Through went to our school. But anyway, 0-2.
Anyway, 0-2.
Looking out for number one. What do you have lyrically on this one?
Dude, it's about looking out for himself.
Yeah.
That's what the song is.
Yeah, about being in a
literally about looking out for number one himself.
Being in a bad, and I think that goes along with like being in a bad relationship or friendship, and then realizing they're kind of a shitty person, and then realizing that you can only look out for yourself for number one. So
there's a lot.
I feel like there's a lot of distrust here with his relationships.
So like this album was a lot more positive than I thought it was going to be. It's a lot more. Not like fuck you, I'm looking out for me, but more like like I'm gonna achieve my dreams regardless of how you treat me
Yes.
type of feeling. It's a lot more. This album was very positive, and even his
It is.
negative kind of outlook on some of the lyrics were still pretty positive.
He always like rounds it out. Like he'll start like it seems like the beginning of the song will be about like, you know, I'm depressed, you know, this is how this situation is making me feel horrible, but I'm gonna persevere. I'm gonna be better than them. I'm gonna be better than this situation. I'm gonna get past this. I'm not looking to the past. I'm only looking toward tomorrow. And I do like that almost in every song from what I recall. Is it'll start off really depressing and then it'll show him grow just within a song. And it's very different. Like when you look at other bands in the scene, I'm only really referring to Atreyu and possibly AFI, but it's just the way Alex would talk about it, would talk about in the songs. It was just like every song on Suicide Notes was just very depressing. Great lyrics, but just very, very sad. He was just a very sad person at the time. And I mean, I guess when you're 18, 19 years old, you know, you're sensitive.
Yeah, when you're
boy,
writing your first
but
lyrics, I don't know. I feel it's a lot easier to tap in to your negative emotions because we don't convey those as much as our positive emotions. Like you laugh, that's a positive thing that you're doing, and everybody knows you're happy. But when you're sad, you try and hide it. So when you write lyrics about being sad, it's a lot easier because nobody knows like you're sad on the outside. So it's easier to convey those emotions. But when you're doing like positive things, happy things, it's difficult because everybody's happy because that's how we see each other. You look at Instagram, right? Nobody fucking posts on Instagram how miserable and sad and pathetic their life is. It's always happy stuff. And so it's tough.
Right.
It's tough to convey like happiness because it comes off as childish. But he conveyed happiness in a way that was kind of like,
it was realistic. It was like, it was mature.
I can't even,
know what I mean?
can't even like explain. He's very proud of himself. He's very proud of himself and how far he's come and how far his band has come. And he's very optimistic about his future and the future of his band and the future of just where he's going to be in life because he's just happy. He's just happy hanging out with the boys, playing music, doing what he loves. And that's easy to come off as kind of like bro-y, right? Kind of like douchey and kind of stupid. But, man, he does it in a way that's just very almost sad.
Yeah, you're right. It's more about, it's there's no ego. Let's just say that.
He's a bro.
He never...
He writes
he's a bro,
songs,
but there's no...
He writes songs like he's a bro, but he's not a bro.
He's not, yeah.
He writes songs like he's a bro, but he's so far from being a bro.
He's so far from being a bro.
It
Have
really
you
is.
ever met him before?
No, I don't think so.
No, I never met him. Did
don't
you
think so.
meet him at NAMM? Or did we meet him at NAMM or talk to him at NAMM? Or if he's even been there?
I don't know. He's a guy that I would know if I see him in real life. Like, oh, that's Ephraim.
What I was gonna say is I've met him and talked to him several times over the years, and dude, the guy is so nice. He's so down to earth and extremely humble. And I remember I met him when I worked at Tower Records. I met him. I forgot what he was buying. He was buying some CDs. And I said, oh, you're Ephraim, right? From Death by Stereo. And we started chatting. And I'm like, hey, I really love Death for Life. It's a great record. And he was so excited that I was even, it just seemed like he was very excited. I was talking about the new record and I wasn't talking about like something from the past. And he was and we were talking about just everything about that record and just the music. It was a really cool conversation. And I've met him at like various Death by Stereo shows and things like that. But I've never actually talked to him at Program. I've seen him at Program, which is the store he owns, but he's always been like talking to other people. So I've never like wanted to, get in the,
Well, that's probably like I
annoyed.
don't know. I don't, yeah, I was going to say like everybody talks to him at Program because everybody knows who he is theoretically that goes to Program. But how cool, like for like, I don't know, an artist that's not $1 million big, right? How cool is it for an artist where you drop a new album and a fan approaches you talking about your new album and not talking about like your Pinkerton or your Blue album, but they're talking about your Red. They're talking about your Make Believe. You know what I mean? I always put it into Weezer terms because that's what I know best. But like, how cool is it for like an artist?
It's all you know. But Got him.
That's cool. You got a little dig in there, right? You always got to put a little dig in there.
Well, I only speak
But
the
it
truth, baby girl.
It is cool for an artist to have fans talk about your new album, because like more often than not, like we're so stuck on your Pinkerton's your best thing and nothing will ever top it. I'm one of those. But like there is merit to your new stuff, and like that's what the artist wants to talk about, because at that time, right now, that's probably what they are feeling, and they think this may be their best album. And that's cool that you did that, and that's cool that you actually felt that and wasn't just patronizing him.
No,
Because
I wasn't.
It's a fucking fantastic album.
I fucking love Death for Life.
We
Even
ranked it
to
number
this
2.
day, like, yeah, we both ranked it number 2. We both love that record. But I mean, I also did bring up If Looks Could Kill. I said I really
This
do.
fucking guy.
I did. But I will say I did. I swear to God, I did say this. I said I love If Looks Could Kill. That was the first record I heard from you guys. I love that record. And I told him, I said, I think Death for Life is just as good as If Looks Could Kill. Like I really did say that to him, and like I was being absolutely genuine, because I do believe that. I feel like Death for Life is up there. It's completely different, not completely different, but it's very different. But it's really up there. It's a fucking amazing record. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Just anyway, if you Ephraim is just, he's such a nice guy. That was the whole point. In real life, every time I've met him, and everybody that I've heard like talk about him, they all say he's so kind and he's so cool. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going. Let's
one day he'll
let's
stop
get into
by the record store if he's ever playing in Phoenix.
Never playing if you guys gonna stop by Desert Groove's record
User.
but you're technically in Mesa, right?
We are in Chandler,
Arizona. Desert Groove's
It's all
record.
fucking desert. Who cares?
That's true. Anyway.
Anyway.
Are we all good with looking out for number 1?
Yes, sir. That was my
Okay.
3B.
That was your 3B, right?
Yep.
Okay, my 3B is Sticks and Stones. Sticks and Stones. He's oh, the way he sings it is. I
mean, it's
didn't sound anything like him, but
Sticks
it's
and
so
Bones.
much fun to
but
sing.
That's all right.
Wait, is it really Sticks and Bones?
Sticks
it's
and
not.
Bones, baby.
No, is it really? I haven't been saying it wrong since. Oh, it is Sticks and Bones. I've always said Sticks and Stones.
I may now sing
Wow.
it as Sticks and Stones.
I guess I'm not a true fan of this band. Holy shit!
I
I've
am the
always
true
called
fan
this
here.
song Sticks and Stones. You are.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
my 6B.
Well, I mean, but he does say Sticks and Stones in the song. But anyway, yeah. So 6B.
My 6B.
So, yeah.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the shortest songs. Well, I'll take a big gulp of my Michelob Ultra with a splash of lime juice. One of the shortest songs on the album. It's just another hardcore punk song through and through. Again, they drop into this groove so nicely, right? They know how to like get into this groove. Like the instrumental part that they'll do better on the next, not better. They'll expand on it more on the next album. They're already doing it here. That's why I said earlier in our rankings that when I listened to album 2, what the fuck is the second album?
Day of the Death.
Yeah, that one. I was like, oh, there's a lot of like cool, like instrumental kind of grooves here that they didn't have on their first album. Well, they did have in the first album, which is buried underneath like a lot of like hardcore punk stuff. This is the song I'm talking about. It's buried here. You hear it, but by the time you understand what's going on, it's already gone. And like this song ends on that weird like fucking piano chord thing. The last thing you hear, right? Like what the hell is that?
I know
You don't hear it
makes
before
no
or
sense.
after.
Yeah, because it immediately drops into the next song, and it's just that, just that chugging, heavy, distorted guitar riff, and then Ephraim singing over that.
It's so
It
weird.
makes no sense. Yeah.
But this one's cool too because I mean there's two guitarists here, but at some point the lead guitar is doing like a single note thing, and the song just kind of quiets down, so you only hear just one guitar. They don't muddle it up with a bunch of like other rhythm layers, even though like later on in the song they do add rhythm layers on the track. But like that one part is just bass. It's just fucking 3-piece bass, drums, and then guitar, and that's it. And I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then
That's
it dropped, and I also love when it drops into where it's just the drums and the bass that dun it, dun it, dun it, and then then Ephraim just screams, "Sticks and stones," and then it drops into the guitar that just like those, I guess the harmonics, is that what it is, or I don't even know, but and then he's just, "Why do you even try?" That is very System of a Down too. The way he sings that, it's very Surge-esque. It has that. I don't even know what
I think like
I don't know what it's called.
What song is that? Oh, actually, it popped in my head. The loneliest day of my life, but the Surge part of that. When Surge is singing the loneliest day of my life, the horn part.
Oh yeah,
Ephraim sounds like that. That's what Ephraim sounds like when he's doing his Surge,
but better,
kind of impressing.
But better, because Lonely Day is not good.
But like Surge just backup harms on that song, and that's what makes that song even tolerable. And so Ephraim sounds like that though, and that's cool. That kind of like that I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but background harms, Lonely Day, Surge. That's what Ephraim sounds like.
Yeah. I also love the way in the song the way he sings, "You can staple my mouth, you can gouge my eyes, make it a fist, can never take away this." Love that. It's just like, it's so like hardcore punk. Like, oh, I love singing that line when I'm listening to this song. It's so much fun. And then "make it a fist will never take away this, take away this, take away this." Oh man, it's just the way Ephraim just kind of switches between the singing, the growls, the screaming, like he has so many different layers to his vocals. It's so fucking rad. He's not a one-dimensional singer, and I feel like that's another thing that makes him so unique, is that he can do so many different things and do them well. If
he
not
really
great,
does have a lot of tricks in his bag. He has
a great scream.
Yeah.
Yes.
His scream is great. His spoken word stuff is commanding. His growls are fun. His singing is not great, but it's passable. But that's still just another trick like he can pull out of his sleeve.
Yeah.
So it's already like four different things he can do.
Exactly. Man, dude. Killer song, man. And
it's a good song.
And kind of talking about Ephraim too. He was on a song with Atreyu on Suicide Notes and Butt Kisses. And oh my God, what is the name of the song right now? Not Someone Standing on My Chest, the one after that. Whoa. Can't even think of the name of the song right now. But he was on that song, and I think it was either Alex or Brandon were talking about when Ephraim was in the vocal booth recording his part for the song, which is an incredible song in itself. When he was recording that part, you could hear him. He's such a loud singer that sometimes you don't even like, the mic can be turned down like almost all the way, and it'll still pick up everything because he sings so fucking loud. And they said you could hear him like so clearly through the vocal booth that it was like they were just kind of like praising him for being just being loud.
I like that.
And I get it.
Come from the diaphragm.
I totally get it. Yeah,
like belting it out like an opera singer.
I think it was Brandon or Alex. I don't remember who said it, but yeah, they were talking about recording that song on that first Atreyu record. But yeah, killer. This is a killer song. Sticks and Bones, not Sticks and Stones.
Sticks and Bones.
I can't believe I've never realized it's Sticks and Bones.
Just keep doing Sticks and Stones.
I'm an idiot. I am not a fan. I am not a fan. So what do you have lyrically on the song?
I'm a bigger fan.
Yes.
This is about being resilient, even in the face of those who intend harm. That's what I wrote.
Yeah, I feel like he's talking about like shitty and manipulative people who are trying to put him down, and this is his fuck you to them, his middle finger to them, saying like he's gonna rise above them. I'm gonna rise above. Gotta throw in our Henry Rollins here.
If we're talking about hardcore punk, then that's what we do.
You gotta talk about a lot of those songs on Damaged. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I feel like that's what he's talking about lyrically on this one.
Again, not like super complex lyrics, but to the point, accessible, and meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost just as tough as writing like complex, deep lyrics.
Well,
right?
it is because he's not cheesy about it. He's not. I don't feel like when I was reading through his lyrics, I never thought like, oh, that's a little embarrassing. You know, it's just
Yeah.
They're just solid lyrics, man. Really, really solid. But damn, we've been talking a lot about Ephraim. Like, we got to talk about the other guys too. Like I said, Jared is still my MVP on this record.
Jared's my number 2. Jared's easy my number 2. But I can't get over how great this dude is at playing the bass, and how metally he sounds playing the bass. And it's not just like his influence from Steve Harris, which, if that's not his favorite bass player of all time, if I ever meet him in real life, I don't know what he looks like. If I ever meet him in real life and he says his favorite bass player is not Steve Harris, I will drop dead.
Wait, you don't know what Paul Miner looks like?
No.
Oh, dude, look him up. You're gonna think, wow, this is really him. He looks like he doesn't look like a musician at all. It's so funny. You would never think this is the same guy who
is this. I mean, I googled it.
He's a bald
like
guy,
old people, right?
glasses.
With glasses.
Yes.
That's him.
Completely. Yes, that's Paul Miner. Yeah. Type Paul Miner Death by Stereo. Yeah, dude. Right? It doesn't make sense. Like, how does this guy play this kind of music or produce these kind of records? It's like looking at Milo from Descendants. Like, you're looking at mine like, really? That's
looking at Bill Stevenson now. Like, it's just like, wow.
Right? It's crazy. It's just, you would never think about it. Like, Ephraim has that look. Ephraim has that look. Like, okay, the vocals match his look. Or you look at Dan Palmer. Okay, his guitar playing matches the mustache, his look.
The mustache. I recognize the mustache.
Yeah. But it's just like you can always kind of match what they're. Most of the time, you can match how they play, what they play to the person's look, but not Paul Miner. Yeah, it's funny.
That is funny. But no, but Paul Miner's my MVP because I think he's not just bringing that like classic 80s metal to this band, but he's furthering their musicianship. And him with Jared mixed together are providing like this backbone.
God,
that
great rhythm section.
That without them, I don't think this album would have even existed. Because they're the ones that are driving everything forward. And yes, the guitars are great. Ephraim is in a league of his own. But they need the backbone, dude. They need the blueprints.
Yeah. And just the chaos of Jared is incredible.
Paul keeps up.
The fact that he I don't know. I don't understand how he keeps up with it either.
Paul keeps up and he transitions on a dime just like Jared does. Anything Jared can do, Paul does. And compliments. And vice versa. Anything Paul does, Jared does too.
They're so in sync. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Damn, dude.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
We've only been listing bangers here. I want to keep getting into your bangers, and hopefully it's an okay song for me.
All right, so we've talked about we've talked about all our top 4 bangers here.
Yeah.
So what's your 5?
Let's see here. Oh, turn the page. You wash your hands. You turn the page. You wash your hands. You turn the page. Turn the page is my 5B.
Oh, what a reference. Turn the page is my 8B, my 8 banger.
Okay, that's still close. That's still close.
Let's get into
this is cool. So one, you get the cool like bass slide, that Delia barrel. You get that cool bass slide action. Always like that. But this like quote unquote breakdown part is so good. It's generic. It's generic and it's of this scene, but it's done perfectly. Much like Ephraim's vocals are kind of generic, or his lyrics are kind of generic, but they hit like they check, but they kind of are, but they're good generic. They're good generic because they check all the boxes. They're not goofy. They're not too complex. They're just good B team stuffs. And this breakdown is like good B team stuff. Dude, you got your gang vocals, right? They accentuate the last syllables of the verse. You got the seemingly easy but a bit busy drum beat that's also kind of heavy. You got your woes, and the lead singer just kind of talking. Like that's all it takes to have a good breakdown. That's all you need. That's it.
Yeah, and I will say too that this whole song just starts off heavy and hard immediately, and Ephraim's vocals, it just sounds like he's about to rip someone's face off just in that first verse. The riff too reminds me kind of like a Pantera riff, but if it was played really fast. I hear a lot of Pantera on this one, but sped up, which is super rad. Also, the breakdown too reminds me a lot of Looking Out for Number One. Kind of the way it's kind of structured. It drops into that kind of like anthemic thing with the big woes as well, the singing, the screaming on top of it, and then I do love how the song ends with that kind of like that tribal drum thing, that kind of Sepultura, kind of big loud drum thing. Turn the page. It's so rad for this
good.
band, their first record coming out of Orange County, to do something that big and that grand in the song is so fucking sick. And they did it so well. Like it doesn't sound, I don't feel like it sounds cheap or cheesy at all. Like they nailed it. And they didn't have to be in some big, huge studio to nail that kind of sound. So
you're right.
This song hits at every level. It really, the aggression here is fucking incredible. And props to Jim too on the guitar. His riff on this one is really, really solid. So
crazy.
Yeah,
this album is crazy.
Really
this like the time period of this album is fucking insane to me. Again, I'm hung up on the 1999 thing.
1990. I mean,
this is before Avenged. This is before Avenged.
I mean,
this is the same year as fucking 18 Visions. This is
well, Throwdown too. Like Throwdown, Adamantium were the big bands, all on Indecision Records, which is, we just talked about that too a few weeks ago. The Indecision Records show, the 20th anniversary show, their 25th anniversary show. I should say. Death by Stereo played there. Adamantium got back together, played that show. A bunch of bands on Bleeding Through played the show, and so I mean, those are the bands that were out like in 98, 99 were Throwdown, Adamantium. What are the fucking other? I can't even think right now. What other bands were in the scene at the time? The Indecision kind of scene, but
I think I think more importantly, the Orange County scene in the 90s was completely opposite this. Even like the guy, one of the founders of this band, who later played for the Aquabats, like Aquabats already had a record or two before this came out. Offspring was already successful. Pennywise already successful. No Doubt already successful. And like this scene is emerging. Like, where the fuck does this come from?
The OC hardcore scene is so unique because it's like I feel all of these amazing bands came out of this scene, and then everybody else outside of OC hardcore tried to copy it and then just completely ruined it. Because you had your Atreyu, Death by Stereo, Avenged, Throwdown, 18 Vision, all these fucking amazing bands in the scene, and then all of a sudden you get who came out right after this? I don't want to say Motionless in White. I don't think they were this early, or Bring Me the Horizon. But you know what I mean? Like metalcore.
As Lay Dying was after this. Like it's just
and they didn't.
What the hell, dude?
As I Lay Dying are great. They really are great, but they don't have the charm that the OC hardcore scene had. Like it's truly something unique that was never replicated. But it was also a very short-lived scene. Like it was. I guess that's most music scenes. Like even grunge was like 6 years, 5-6 years, and this was the same thing, like 5 to 7 years. But there was nothing that ever sounded like the bands that came from this era. And I mean, I think some of it probably is nostalgia, but I mean, there was some really incredible stuff that came out of here.
I will say, like, yes, a lot of it is nostalgia, and it's not even the genre of music that I gravitate towards normally. And so for me to like a band in this genre is one thing. And As Lay Dying is a band that I've come to appreciate more because by proxy I kind of have to. I listen to it often, but
Yeah.
Death by Stereo has never been a band that I've hated. It's always been a band that I've enjoyed. And I've seen them a lot of times, too, that it was never my idea. But every time I've seen them, like, God damn, that was a good show. You know, like those shows you leave and you're drenched in somebody else's sweat. And you're just like, fuck, dude, that was a good show. Like, why don't I like that band more? Like, it
was always a blast.
That's Death by Stereo.
A friend of the pod, Annie, she was never into this scene. Like, the hardest she ever got was, like, Thrice. That was the hardest music she ever really got into. And I dragged her to a Death by Stereo show. Like, this is probably in 04, maybe 05, at Chain Reaction. And she wasn't having a good time and whatever. And then all of a sudden, somebody got up on stage and they proposed to their girlfriend up on stage at a Death by Stereo concert at Chain.
So good.
I was just like, it was so fucking random, but it was so rad. I think it was like 05, actually. Yeah. But yeah, it was super sick. But
see, that's I don't know. That's the scene. If you're, I don't know. It was good times. The OZ scene in this era was good times. It was good times.
But yeah, but then also looking back too, you know, going to all the shows at Chain, some of the shows that, I mean, you never went to Showcase, but the shows I went to at Showcase, there were a lot of shitty
bands. I saw Avenged
too.
at Showcase.
Oh wait, you did? Oh yeah. Yeah.
You said yeah, really weird in that last one.
Yeah.
It's how you said it. Yeah. No, I saw
there were a lot of shitty
Avenged
bands.
in like their best era. I just didn't fucking care.
Was that the Wake in the Fallen era?
Yeah, that was that like 2002, 3, 4, 2, 3?
Yeah, it was probably Waking the Fallen then.
Yeah, that was when I was going to a lot of Avenged shows that I did not want to go to, but I was down to go to shows. So whatevs.
But then you and I would go to those shows at Chain where there would be like 6 hardcore bands playing like on a Wednesday night.
Oh,
so we would just go because we had nothing else to do. But
like
they were never
$5.
really good. $5. They were never good, but it was just fun to go. So there was a lot of shit too coming out of the scene. But the big heavy hitters that came out, like this band, made it worth it, and it just made the scene so fucking rad. But yeah, it's good stuff.
It is good stuff. It's good. Again, I think it's good stuff because the Orange County scene was so one-sided towards like pop rock. And the Offspring at this point was pop rock, and No Doubt was pop rock, and everything else was pop rock. And like the Orange County like kind of punk scene was a little bit goofier, right? Your Gutter Mouse and your Vandals, and they're a little bit goofier. And so for this genre to emerge and be, for this band to emerge from this genre and be the best at it already, I think is something to behold, something to admire.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you have lyrically on Turn the Page?
We're going back to Turn the Page. Wash your hands, turn the page. I mean, much like the title suggests, this guy's very literal. I think it's about working through his issues and metaphorically turning the page on his life once he's completed this chapter. Moving on.
Yeah, I feel like this is moving on from a relationship, whether it was a romantic relationship or a friendship, and just moving on to the next stage of his life. That's what I got on this one, which is a very mature thing too, because, when you're in your early 20s, late teens, early 20s, you're still holding on to that concept. Like I have to always be friends with this person. I can't, how can I break up with my friend? It's just like everybody's fucking been there. And yeah, so, and I feel like that's a very mature thing at this young of an age. Cause I assume he was probably 19, 20 when he wrote the lyrics to this record. So yeah, it's good
I think
stuff.
they were like early to mid 20s when this record dropped. So definitely early 20s when this came out.
Were they really?
But if you think about where we were in Orange County in our early 20s, very immature. And I don't know, exactly. maybe all people in the early 20s are immature. I don't know.
They are.
But it is. It's a very silly concept, like breaking up with your girlfriend when you're 19 years old and thinking like, this sucks. Like, I want to be friends forever. And it's like, why, dude? Like, this is such a small subset of your fucking life overall. Like, it's okay. Break ties.
Yeah.
Move on. It's okay. It's no different than like breaking ties with coworkers that are kind of toxic and fucked up, but you you're friends with them at work, but if you quit that job, you would never be friends with them again. Small world, I guess.
And that's fine. You know, it's like you have to come to that realization. Otherwise, you're gonna be miserable. You're never gonna. I don't know.
Pleasing everybody's is never in your favor.
No, not at all. Not at all. So
wash
what do
your
you
hands, turn the page. Wash your hands, turn the page.
Wash your hands, turn the page. That was your 5B. My 5B is don't believe everything you think.
Okay.
What do you think of this one?
I listed that one as an okay song.
Really? Okay.
Again,
why is that?
I've been trying to get more objective rather than beer goggles subjective, and that's why I did it. But the song's dope. His scream is cool because it's got a little growl to it here, and then he actually does growl in the song in that little breakdown. And then we get some squeals. This is kind of like the first song we really get like those really like good like crunchy
the big squeals.
Hardcore breakdown attack squeals. You know what I mean? And then it's just because they're like the worst at
band,
it,
dude. The fucking band. Oh, I hate that band.
They're the worst. The little crab holding the guitars like crab and
crab
like spread apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is like, I call this good later album OC hardcore filler. That's what this is.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So I feel like what I love about this song is that this is one of the more genre jumping songs. I love how frantic it is, but also driving at the same time. Especially during the verses, like what Jared's doing is just like, it's kind of like this jazzy, I guess it's like a jazzy kind of thing he's doing, which is so weird within this kind of music, but it fucking works. And I think the fact that he's hitting so hard, it's not like subtle, like he's just really fucking going for it. It's driving the song along. The riff is just super solid chugging. It's a wild song. It shouldn't make sense. It should fall apart. Like when you're looking at what they're all playing and what they're all doing, it should fall apart at any moment, but it doesn't. There's some great back and forth screaming between Ephraim and I don't know who's doing the other screaming. I don't know if maybe it's Jim.
Who is the one that's always doing the back and forth with Ephraim?
I don't know.
Because they're really good at it.
I don't know.
I like it.
I do too. I think it's fantastic, especially when it's the screaming back. The screaming back and forth is the best. The melodic stuff is really good too, and it's fucking. I mean, it's all fucking good. But I do love the back and forth screaming, and I just love on a dime they'll fucking just change it, and they do it in this one. It'll drop for no reason into like this melodic bit, but it's not cheesy and kind of lame like Rise Against, because Rise Against are never good at. They've never been good at just dropping it and going into something different, but for whatever reason Death by Stereo fucking kill it. But I think it's because the band is actually really good, unlike Rise Against. So you kind of get into the melodic part, and then kind of stops, and you get the 1, 2, 3, cow. But it's like that. It's like run through that like that distortion the vocals are, and then it just drops back into the punk thing. And then once again, like you said, that heavy ass kind of breakdown, that metalcore, typical kind of metalcore breakdown outro thing. Dude, this song is fucking insane. It's insane. Structure, like good. Song structure wise, genre wise, it's unique. It's definitely unique on this record, and it's toward the end of the record too. What's cool about this record too. There are no lulls on the record, but there are moments where you're like, okay, this is the part of the record where they're going to do a song or two that's more just like filler. It's going to be more of a ballad kind of thing. And they'll do it for like a verse, and then it'll drop into something super rad, and you're like, oh, dude, this is fucking sick. Like, this is why I love this band. This is why I love this record. And like, that's kind of how the sequencing of the whole record is. Like, there'll be bits of song of a song that are just like, it's like when we did the new Avenged record. Like there's going to be a part on the new Avenged record. You're like, oh my God, here we go. Typical Avenged, the shit that we don't like. But then it'll drop into something so quirky and so off the wall, unexpected, that we're just so blown away by it. And that's how I feel with this album, but in much shorter bursts than on the new Avenged record. that makes any fucking sense.
See,
But-
that's tough because I get what you're saying, and that makes this record better because
Well, I think this record's better than the new Avenged. But
on
I
a-
do
on
love
a-
the
on
new
a
Avenged
once,
record.
on a once over, like the new Avenged, you think like, oh yeah, that's better because they're taking more chances and they're doing more things. But then if you understand where they came from, what they had done prior to that, it's kind of like, well, it loses value a little bit. But listening to this record and the chances they took here, and considering this is their first record in a genre that's still kind of emerging in a geographical specific spot that no one else had really like touched before, like it makes it better. And I know you hate thinking like just because you did it first doesn't mean you did it the best. But like
true.
but like this is kind of
they-
one of
they
those
did do
times
that,
where
yeah.
like they kind of did it first and it was also really good too. And the new
It
Avenged
was.
record is goddamn, it's fucking good.
But
But how long did it take them to get there?
It's true.
These guys were
over 20
already here.
years.
These guys were already
Already
here.
But the new Avenged, man, album of the year, man. So far, at this point, that's the album of the year for me.
What else is it contending against?
The new
Metallica?
Rancid. The new Rancid. No, the new Rancid.
No,
Are
that's
you
not better.
joking me?
No, it's better than New Rancid. New Rancid's
That's
good.
what I'm saying. Yeah, I love the new Rancid. Mow 'em fucking down.
Mow 'em fucking down.
But the new Avenged is. I love that. I love the new record. I listened to
Good
that this week on vinyl too.
It's a good record.
So good. So what do you have lyrically on "Don't Believe Everything You Think"?
This is a song about hating on the fake fools. That's what I wrote. I actually wrote
Hating
fake
on the what?
fools. The fake fools
Oh, fake fools.
with a
Okay.
Z.
To me, I feel like this is just him just cutting out more toxic, fucked up people out of his life, manipulative people. Just kind of more of what we were talking about in the last song. But yeah, that's
That's
it's
hating
good.
on the fake fools right there.
Hating on the fake.
He
That's-
does
that's
say
a
he's
new-
done
that's
with
a
the
new one.
fakers. He says like I'm done with the fakers
Yeah,
or the fakes or
Yes.
something. Fake fools. I don't know what the fuck he says. Something about fake fools. He also says something about like fake MCs or sucker MCs on one point in one of
does.
these songs, which I thought was so fucking weird.
I thought that I noticed that too when I was reading through the lyrics.
I was like, what the
What
hell?
song? I don't remember what song it was. I didn't write it down either. But all right, so we've gotten through what six? Or wait, yeah, we've gone
Yeah,
through
like-
6 songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about
1, 2,
anything
3.
else? Do you want to touch upon anything else, or do you want to
I
wrap it
have.
up? What do you think?
I only have 2 more bangers, like true bangers for me. The closer,
Okay.
"Home of the Brave," my 7B.
Really? That's my
Yeah.
12B.
I think that's almost your least favorite song. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I
Day
just thought
in the
it's
Sun
a
is
great-
my least favorite, but I still love it.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, that's my 4B. So.
A Day in the Sun?
Yeah, "Day in the Sun's my 4B
Wait, why didn't we talk about A Day in the Sun?
because I don't know.
Why the fuck didn't we talk about that?
Let's talk about it.
Okay, yeah,
We're already here.
let's do-
Right? We're
already
doing it.
here, yeah.
Uh,
out. Okay,
he
yeah, what do you
loves he loves freestyling on them drums, right? In the intros,
Yeah.
he just loves doing that shit. I like the drum rolls he uses here because they fit nicely in the song, but they also transition the song into the more hectic parts, right? So the drum roll's a little bit Travis Barker-y, a little bit busy, kind of a little bit obnoxious for this band, but they lead somewhere. So he used that same drum roll and then used the same drum roll again when they get to the hectic part and then kind of lay off that drum roll. So it's, I don't know. It's a good like middle ground. I dig that. But there's some cool like guitar noodling too in this background. The chorus is super catchy,
Yeah.
super fun, got some harms. And the way Ephraim sings, it's fun. And the song reminds me so much of Identity Crisis. This is their Identity Crisis song, which is Thrice is like the Identity Crisis of this, I know. But like this is their Identity Crisis song.
I think only in tone. Only in tone, I think you could compare it to the Identity Crisis.
Dude, this song
But-
I think sounds so much like it. If you take Ephraim out and you put Dustin in, this could be a Thrice song.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
hear it. I hear it.
That's fair. I mean, I don't really have much written down.
This
I
was
do
the
like
one
the
that
chuggy
maybe
guitars.
this is the one that made me go back and like think, when the fuck did Identity Crisis come out? Because I knew it was like pretty much the similar, like the same time, but I was wondering like maybe they were both recording at the same time. But like no, this is clearly after Paul Miner already was established. So like, but like it really made me go do a little bit of research.
I mean, this really is a good song. I even though it's at the bottom of my banger list, it's still a banger. I do love this song. The breakdown too. The breakdown is super fucking heavy. Some really gnarly screams. Some great drumming from Jared. I do like the busy stuff, and I do get the Travis Barker, the freestyling in the beginning, but he also does some really cool, just some amazing fills on this one. The drum fill transitioning into that chorus is just fucking phenomenal. And then in that chorus too, the woes and the backup vocals are just, they're so fucking solid. This is a really good, really, really good song. But I think one of the reasons too why it's as low as it is because it's one of the more slower songs. It's tempo wise, it definitely is slower. It does pick up in moments and there are tempo changes, but overall, because it is a slower song, it doesn't kill the momentum, but I don't know. I love just how wild this record is, and this kind of, it's not a lull in the record, but it's definitely different compared to everything else.
Those are a lot of.
But Day in the Sun is good.
That's like dancing around the fact that this is a lull in the record for you, but that's okay.
It was a lot of words to say very little. Let's just say that. It was a word
correct.
salad, what I just said. I just did. But
and then
anyway.
Home of the Brave. That's my 7B, and that's the last of my Bs.
Home of the Brave. That is my
Yankee and the
12
Brave.
Bs,
So yeah,
those are good songs right there,
Okay.
dude. Or that's a good song right there, dude.
I like overall. I think this is a great closer. It sums up the album. Even throws that like drawn out ending in there, right, where you think it's gonna end, and then it ends with that last second beat. Everyone like the blast beat, and everyone comes in really hard for 3 seconds and then ends. I thought this was a fantastic closer, just like I think the opener, Sing Along with the Patriotic Fools, Punks is a great opener.
You say
I think this is a great fool. Well, we talked about fools a minute ago. I got fools. I got fools on the brain, but don't call me a full brain. Home of the Brave, I think, is a great closer.
So
I like it. It's cool. It's fun.
What I like about Home of the Brave overall is that it's a good combination of kind of everything that they did on the record, because it starts out, the intro is great. It gets you pumped up. It's a good circle pit, like hardcore song. Like when the song comes on, I think, dude, I want to get in a pit right now and just kind of fuck shit up. You know, that's what I feel. That's what I want to do. Some really good chugging guitar parts, great leads, transitions, good drum fills. Like this is a little bit of everything wrapped up into the song to conclude the entire record. So it is a really good song, but it's nothing that I haven't heard the last 25 minutes, 26 minutes. Because this album is only, I think, 31 minutes long, 14 songs, or really 13 songs in 31 minutes. So it's a fairly short record, but it's really nothing I haven't heard already on the album. But it's good stuff, man.
It's good stuff.
So a couple other things I want to talk about real quick too. The titles of these songs. Some of them are pretty long. They're kind of ridiculous. Just the title to the one song, A One-Legged Man in an Ass-Kicking Contest.
Yeah.
Love that title. It's just so it's so ridiculous. I also love the title, Bet Against Me, You Lose. Love that one too.
Well, let's not forget
Sing Along
too,
with
like
the Patriot Punks.
Like the one-legged man is stylized with the number one, not O-N-E. It's one-legged man.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. I like it too. So I do like that. Also the cover art. I love the simplicity of the cover art. It's just a black and white picture of Ephraim just screaming into a microphone, and then just very little actual visual artwork. It says Death by Stereo on top, across the top. The bottom right corner just says, if looks kill, I watch you die. It's a very simple black and white album cover, and I really dig it. It's so of the scene. I feel like it's not. I don't know. Well, maybe it's not of the scene because it was kind of dramatic. When you look at
I
Suicide
agree.
Notes
I like it a lot. And there's another band that fairly recently, did something very similar to like reignite the passion in the hardcore punk scene. And that's Turnstile on Nonstop Feeling. That, right? That cover art where, I mean, the Turnstile itself is stylized in a colorful way, but Brendan, the singer on Turnstile, that first album.
On Turnstile,
it's just him screaming into the mic. It's classic, dude. Like, it doesn't get better than that, right?
It doesn't. It really,
it's so
really
good.
Doesn't. I wonder too. I wonder if this picture of Ephraim is. I bet it's like a picture of him at like Showcase or something. Because Death by Stereo were one of those bands that were just like, they were known to play at Showcase all the goddamn time, if not at Chain Reaction. So I bet it's like a photo from Showcase Theater.
It's so close, and this is 1999, so we're not talking digital. Like, people aren't bringing digital cameras to the show. This seems like somebody who got super fucking close with a camera and snapped a picture right at the right time, right at the right moment.
I really, really dig it. So let's wrap it up. Let's give our final thoughts, and then we're gonna rate the album based off of our world famous 3-point rating system, where 3 is a perfect album, 2 is a good album you're gonna continue to listen to, 1 is a bad album, but give it a shot, and 0 is the worst thing you've ever heard. So what do you got, Jeff? Go.
OC Hardcore, man. OC Hardcore at its best, at its purest. Maybe people did things better here and there than they did, but I think this is his most pure. This is pure, unfiltered honey right here. Nature's candy is what this is. It's so good. Do you like honey?
I love honey, man. I eat honey almost every day.
Have you had like straight from the hive honey?
I have had it, yeah.
Dude, it's so fucking good.
It is. Like, have you ever eaten like actual honeycomb?
No, I've never had honeycomb.
Oh, dude. Oof.
Where do you get
good, man?
Like
you
could
actually buy,
like in life size form?
You could actually buy like dried out honey. I've never had fresh honeycomb. I've always wanted to try it. Like,
do you eat the honeycomb itself?
Yeah, you eat the honey. Yeah, you bite into it. Yeah. I've always wanted to like do because you could actually like break it off straight from the hive, and then just take a bite out of it. And I've always wanted to do that, but you could actually buy dried honeycomb, at like little like
little bodegas.
I don't know, little weird little bodegas, little shops and shit. But no, honeycomb.
No, I've never had that. I do. I fucking love honey so much. And like pure, like unfiltered, natural, straight from the hive honey is expensive. Looks gross and it smells kind of weird, and it's not as sugary as you think it would be. But like, god damn, that's the shit right there. That's the shit.
Tasty
right there.
treat.
And that's this album, dude. This is unfiltered. This is OC Hardcore at its purest. It took off in different directions after this, and it was already established before this. But damn, this is the best of it. This is the best of it. It's fun. It's energetic. These guys brought their A game and never stopped. To this day, never stopped. And even like the extracurriculars that they do, Ephraim White with Voodoo Glow Skulls, like, dude, fucking brings the heat constantly. As I said before, right. I'm being a little bit more objective in my rankings and my final thoughts and everything. So it's not a perfect album. I can't give it a perfect 3. This is who I am now. You need to accept it. But this is close.
I don't need to accept anything. Come on, get out of here.
This is who I am now. This is who I've become. I'm going to do...
Well, perfect 3 out of 3.
I'm going to do 2.7.
Dude, you're so dumb. Like, why would... No.
I'm going to do 2.7. I'm telling you, this is who I am now. This is what I've become.
Well, you become stupid.
I think this is perfect. I think this is perfect hardcore punk. I think this is really, really good metalcore. With what I can't give a perfect 3 out of 3 on is not every song on here is distinctive enough to make a lasting impression, even after multiple listens. I don't think the genre itself is something that's going to make a lasting impression anyway. So I think that's a losing battle you've already entered. So for those reasons, as Mr. Wonderful would say in Shark Tank, for those reasons, I'm out.
That was terrible.
You don't want Shark Tank?
Doesn't Mark Cuban say that?
Well, I think they all say it.
Oh, they do. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that's stupid. Giving it a 2.7.
That's a good
You probably
score.
fell on your head. You probably fell on your head earlier today, but that's fine,
I gave this a 270 out of 300. That's a good fucking score.
dude. Don't do that. Don't do that.
That's a good score.
My final thoughts. I do understand this is a very hyper regional band, especially for us, considering literally they played at our high school, their first show, and there's a very strong connection with us to the scene. I get it. There is a bias there, but I don't give a fuck. I even think objectively, this is just an incredible fucking record. Musically, vocally, it's so unique. People, like I was saying before, people give so much credit to Serge from System of a Down, which he deserves. I agree for how unique he sounds, but so does Ephraim. But unfortunately, Death by Stereo were very specific within their genres. They never got too quirky. They also didn't work up with a big producer like Rick Rubin right from the start. I think that's also a big reason why System of a Down blew up the way they did. Much like Red Hot Chili Peppers, they wouldn't have been as big if it had not been for Rick Rubin. So, with that being said, well, it's true. Come on.
Hold on there, dude.
Come on. Mother's Milk was big. It was popular, yes. But once Blood, Sex, Sugar Magic came out with Rick Rubin, dude, that just blew that band up.
No. The Red Hot Chili Peppers were no. They were, Flea was playing bass the way nobody else had ever heard anybody play the bass like that in the 80s.
That's not true.
That is completely true.
No, that's not true.
Geddy
Lee was playing like that.
Geddy Lee was not slapping them. Get the fuck out of here. No, he was not. You're fucking not. What are you talking about?
Oh, dude.
There was no funk and punk and Rush. Get out of here. Are you kidding me?
Well, we're talking about slapping the bass.
No,
Geddy
Lee was not playing the way Flea was playing.
Wrong. That's wrong.
That's 100% not wrong. That is right.
It's just that Geddy Lee didn't come from the punk scene like fucking Flea did. That's the only thing.
To say that Red Hot Chili Peppers would be nothing without Rick Rubin is just stupid. That's naive and stupid.
Well, they wouldn't be as big. They wouldn't be as big without Rick Rubin.
I think they would still be just as big even without Rick Rubin.
No,
but like you're just missing Mother's Milk. Mother's Milk was fucking huge. But so was like the Uplift Mofo Party. That was huge. So was Freaky Styley. That was fucking huge.
It was big. They just
got bigger and bigger and bigger every album that they put out.
And I feel it was because of Rick Rubin was a big reason for that.
No, dude, I'm telling you right now. Freaky Styley was big. Uplift Mofo was bigger.
I know
Mother's
it was.
Milk
I was there.
bigger. This band is going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
I know.
I
get it.
You were born then.
I was there. I helped record the records with them.
I was born then. You weren't even born then. I was born then. You weren't.
You wasn't even born yet.
Rick Rubin. Oh, anyway, God, the more we talk about Rick Rubin, just keep his name out of your mouth. It's disgusting. I'm tired. I'm fucking tired of Rick Rubin's. I'm tired of him.
Okay.
Fucking tired.
You're fussy tonight. It's late. I know it's late.
You hit my trigger word, dude.
You
hit my trigger word.
Death by Stereo. If Looks Could Kill. We've talked so much about it. We praise this record so much. Especially I have. I love this record. I've listened to this record hundreds of times. I adore it. Nostalgia-wise, it means so much, and it's truly a remarkable record, objectively speaking as well. I don't do this often. I really don't. Maybe recently I have, but I really don't normally. I give this record a perfect 3 out of 3. It is truly something unique. It is truly something special. I don't have my DBS goggles on. I don't. I'm being completely unbiased here. This is truly something unique and cool and special. So yeah, that's my final thoughts. That's my rating. Perfect 3 out of 3. Do you have anything else?
No. Rick Rubin's such a little bitch, dude. He's such a little bitch.
Gotta bring it back to him.
God.
Gotta bring it back to him.
Rick Rubin just fucking attached himself to the Red Hot Chili, but they couldn't get rid of him. Like the guy that stays at your fucking party like way too long. Like, are you gonna go home, bro? Like you leave anytime soon? Like, nah, I'm good for the next 15 years. Ugh.
All right. So thank you all for listening. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us five stars. Tell all your friends. Hope you had a good time. And next week we're wrapping up Orange County season, OC season. Not going to give you any hints as to what we're doing, but they're a good band. And they're a popular band. I guess those are hints.
Who else would we wrap up OC season with? Right? Like, come on.
I know. Anyway, thanks for listening. That's it. That's all.
Rick Rubin, to the go.